I'm going to run through this slideshow presentation pretty quick, but what I want to do is, since both of you guys are kind of newer to the platform, when I do my demo, I'm going to do the demo of our existing Commander so that you can kind of see it, kind of in motion, and then I'll switch over to the new UI and do the demo there so that you can kind of see where we are right now and where we're going to. So I think it'll make it a little easier for you. So yeah, welcome. This is the last class of the 2021 Genius Summit. I'm Pete Tuis, Senior IoT Integration Engineer for KMC Controls. I'm on the Commander team. Why the new UI? We want to push the boundaries of technology and push real-world customer expectations. KMC Commander has grown bigger than our wildest expectations. It's been installed in over 100 million square feet to date, thousands of buildings, hundreds of cities worldwide, dozens of install partners. We've been going for 5 years, and it's all on one platform. My programmers like to tell me that it's a lot for any piece of software, and they really want to reimagine or reimage what the future is going to look like for cloud-enabled services. So the goals that we set out to do is address the roadblocks that we had with the original UI, double down on some of the unique benefits of the newer UI, which is the faster install, more advanced software. They're going mobile first, cloud native, snappier UI, and headache-free gateway. They want to be the most enterprise-ready, ultimate sites and unlimited users and sites, completely custom security model, enterprise system integration, and we like to think that we have the best API in the business because it is open and easy to use. We expand into more industry-first features. We have instant trend loading. We have live card editing, live dashboard preview, fully customized branding, and the software engineers like to say that that places us 2 steps ahead of everybody else. Hello, Mr. Slide. So this is the new look and feel. So it has similar colors, but when you bring up your projects, you can either have a list of projects, or if you have multiple sites, you can actually bring up a map and you'll see all of your sites under one map. This is all of how the text is going to look, and then this is the color palette. One of the things that we've brought to the new UI is a search feature for profile types. So haystack tagging for all your analytics stuff, so that you can make sure that all your discharge air temperature sensors are tagged appropriately. You can now just start to type in what that tag is you want, and it'll automatically find it instead of having to drill down through the menus. And I'll show you that in the demo of what it is and what it is now. These are our Kpi cards. These are a known point of interest. So we have KPI gauges, and then we just have straight up KPI cards. The gauge, you can adjust the colors of the rainbow, if you will, and then you can adjust what the high and the low point of the scale is. So you can do the exact same thing here, except we get rid of the little, needle thing. Thermostat cards. This is pretty much what you use for all of your user spaces. It gives you your temperature sensor, it gives you your cooling, your heating, occupied mode. You can put another point down here. If this space had humidity or CO2, there's another point in here that you can put it in. And again, it just moves over here. It looks prettier, exact same functionality. It just looks nicer. And we have the cool little dash marks that rise. And somebody asked me what the dash mark scale is. And the dash mark scale is these two. So this is 71, and this is 79. So 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. Custom cards, this is when you want to just display a whole bunch of points on one card. You can go in and put analog values, binary values, multi-state, anything that's a binary or a backnet point you can put in. Trend cards, our current trend cards this is what they call a small trend card, and this is a large trend card. Each one of them can support 4 points at one time, and This one allows you to do real-time as well as historical trends, where this one is just a real-time only. So what they did is they combined these two and made this new one. So instead of having a small trend and a large trend, you now just have a trend card. All of the features of both of those cards have been combined into that, and that has a heck of a lot better response time because that's using a new trend engine, and it'll go from you clicking on it to being populated within a few seconds. Weather cards is the ability to add weather. If you're in Tampa, Florida, and the customer wants to know what the forecast is going to be, the trend card or the weather cards look very similar. The only thing we did was we added the forecast text, so it'll say cloudy, sunny, thunderstorms, all that kind of stuff. Text cards are a really cool thing, in my opinion. They can be used for links, information, anything that you want to get that's just some static. You call this person for support. Air handler 1 takes a 5 VX4 belt. Whatever the issue is, you can put in as text. And what we did was we just went ahead and made it look a little nicer. Same functionality. Web cards are really cool because now you can embed things like YouTube videos. This right here is a Roombus camera that is coming in from an iframe feed. So this is a live camera feed on this card. And when they went over to the new ones, they eliminated some of the dead space and made it look a little nicer. All same functionality. And each one of the projects has a settings page. This is where you can come in and you can see your box service tag. You can see the last time it actually talked to the cloud, so that if your customer calls you up and says, hey, my commander's not working, what's going on? You can come in here, you can look at it, and you can see when the last time that commander actually connected to the internet. And if it was a day or two ago, you could say, hey, we've got an internet issue, we need to go out and need to double check it. You can reboot your gateway as long as it's communicating with the cloud. You can reboot it remotely now, which is really good in case there's a hitch in the get along. Gives you all the information about your license, gives all of the information about the system integrator, so who installed it, all that good stuff, and all of the enabled add-ons. So like reports, Node-RED, VVT, Auto Builder, all of that kind of stuff. And then in the backnet settings and configurations, we give you the ability to change the backnet device instance number now, as well as a whole lot more detailed information of what the particulars are on the settings and what they control. And then user action logs got swole with data. These allow us to see not only logins and logouts, but also what the users and the system does as well. Commander schedules. It's same overall look and feel. However, we introduced this configurations tab. And when you click on the configurations tab, it now gives you the name of the schedule and then what devices it controls, which this is really huge. If you've got one schedule controlling 5 or 6, 7 different controllers, I don't have to go drill into that schedule to figure out what controllers it's copying or it's controlling. And then alarms. Alarms used to be this little red thing up here. You'd click it, and you'd get a box about that big, no matter how big you made your screen, and it would show you about 2.5 alarms. Now you come over to the right-hand side, you hover over the bell, and it gives you a beautiful list of all of your alarms that you can click on, get information for them, or you can just click on the alarm tab. This is what the original alarm manager looked like. This is what the new alarm manager looks like. It's going to give you device and time, where this just basically gave you the device and you had to open it up to find any information out about it. You can still acknowledge them from the lines just like you could. And then the configuration for alarms, we put it in a configuration tab just like we did settings. So now you can see all of your alarms all at once instead of having to expand and close them every time you refresh the page, and I'll show you about that when we do the live demo. Trends are pretty neat because you can add your points, you can save it, and then you can pull this up at any time. The current system, the current trends, has all of the static trends up top, where now you have a pull-down menu so that you can see them one at a time, or in a list. Networks configuration, this is our existing networks configuration tab. And what happens is most of the time is that most screens cut it off about here, and people don't see these last two configuration settings, which is the Ethernet port that you want the BACnet traffic to be on, as well as whether it's an auto-built project or not. We went ahead and put this into the new one where it's very much mobile friendly. It's the vertical display, and everything pops out more, and it's easier on the eyes, and it gives you all of the configuration as one. Okay, live demo. I'm going to sit down for this because I, for some reason, can't drive while standing. And I'll show you the original commander first. So when you first install a commander and you get it up and running, or when you pull it out of the box, we'll start from the box. When you pull it out of the box, you plug it into the internet, and the documentation says to leave it 24 hours in your office for it to update. If you don't want to update it, you just have to manually do it with getting into the SSH terminal and manually telling it to update itself. But once you've got it on, you've got it updated, you've got it on site, you log in, you go to the networks page.
It's not showing your screen.
I'll be darned. Hold on just a second. Thanks.
Just verbally, what is the architecture? You've got all your VD controllers, your channel ones, and all that plugged into a router on the Ethernet. You have a computer on the job site, and then the computer then talks to the cloud.
So,
Can you just verbally tell me how?
well, I'll do it because I gotta kind of, so I don't confuse myself. So you've got a gateway that basically sits here and it talks to the internet. And then you've got, this is the Dell box, or the Advantech box now available from KMC Controls. So this is the internet, the customer's network kind of thing. So all your controls here, this could be a 5051 router, this could be a 5901. If you really wanted to, you could put a KMD translator on here and grab all your KMD stuff. But everything basically has to come back BACnet IP to this guy right here. Once he's into here, that...
What software do you have in there? You got Windows 10, what else?
No, in that box, no, it's Ubuntu Core. Ubuntu, so it's Linux based. It's not Windows at all. We want it to work. Sorry, Bill Gates. So when you get a new commander, you can see my screen now, yay, okay.
You don't have licensing issues like Windows. Ubuntu is just good forever.
The good thing with Linux is they won't get as corrupted as much as
Oh, I can corrupt a Linux box pretty good, but no, you're right. There's less, what I like to think of is there's less people looking to, tickle a Ubuntu box versus Windows 10, just because of the fact that there's, in the sheer numbers, there's more Windows 10 targets than there are Ubuntu. 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 So when you come in and you create a network, you give it a name. You give it a source destination port. And then you've got the option to do just a wild any who is. You can go in and you can search for a single device instance, or you can search for a range. So if I wanted to search from like 0 to 2 million, because I know that's my last controller, I tell it what adapter I want to go out. I can either go out the first Ethernet port or the second Ethernet port, or I can go out the Wi-Fi or cellular. So I'm going to go to the Ethernet port. It's not an auto-built project, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. Once this BACnet network is created, I click Discover, it's going to say, hey, confirm your Discover options. When you set this network up, you said between 0 and 2 million. So I'm going to say, yep, that's what I wanted to discover. So I'm going to click OK. And right now, I'm talking to the cloud. So my box that's sitting back at my test lab at my house is pinging home and saying, hey, Commander Cloud, do you have anything for me? And the Commander Cloud's saying, oh, well, yes, we do. We've got a new network to build, and we need to discover it. So now Commander is sent that down to the gateway. All of that is processing on the gateway. Once it's done, it's going to populate on the screen here. It's coming up right now.
You can buy a Dell computer from Dell with Ubuntu installed.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dell laptop that I just got, it's one of the flippable ones, that you can fold over and it's a tablet. It didn't come with Ubuntu, but I was able to sideload it, and I dual boot Windows 10 and Ubuntu, and it works flawlessly. I know that there are some Linux laptops like from the factory out there. I'm not 100% on like what models from Dell they are.
You don't want to dual boot. You can add a Windows subsystem for Linux.
Oh, yes.
And then you can add, they have a bunch of pre-built, like Ubuntu and various other distributions. You can run that right in Windows. Okay. And you just drop it like bash command prompt if you need to. Well, I was thinking, I like this idea. Not many people write viruses for Ubuntu's. So if you didn't have any Windows operating system at all and just had that Ubuntu.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the challenge with Linux is the supportability. And while there aren't many viruses, there are some, and unless they have big against it, that's a challenge.
Yeah, true.
So we've discovered our devices here. So this is a list of all the controllers that are sitting on this test network at my house. So you go down and you find the controller that you want to discover or you want to add to the network, and we'll add this 5901C. It's going to ask us to select a profile. These are the profiles that I already have pre-built in my project. So if it's a VAV box, just a cooling only VAV box, and you've got 27 of them going down a hallway, you can discover all 27 of them, give them the same profile, and you're off to the rodeo. But this guy is a new controller, so I'm going to create a new profile, give it a name. Select the device type. This is going to come in handy with tagging, so device tagging of an air handler, a VAV, a meter, things of that nature. And then discovery type, protocol default or description. Protocol default's going to give you the AV1, the BV1, AO1, that kind of thing. And description is going to give you the point description of the backnet point. So if you open up Connect and you see the description box, whatever you put in there, if you put pound of puppies, you're going to see pound of puppies come up here. And then you just simply click Discover. Again, we're waiting for the Commander gateway at my house to ping up to the cloud and say, hey, cloud, do you have anything for me? It says, I do. As you can see, we're starting to fetch the indices. I've got one of 368 going. This will populate pretty quick.
You automate a lot of things in your house.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's a little irritated with me. Well, so her biggest frustration is like, I'll get a wild hair and I'll just change stuff. Or like when firmware upgrades come, I'm like, hey, sweetheart, okay, I need to know when you're not going to be using the internet tonight because I'm going to break it. And so then she'll, go off and do something, and I'm like mad dash to try and update firmware or, add something to, because we've got all the light switches, that you can say, okay, Google and all that stuff. And so, trying to get off of Google and onto like a private home, automation thing, has been a lot of trial and error. And so she just reminds me that she loves me very much. So once the points are discovered in our profile, we can just simply go through and look at which ones we want to grab. Once we find one that we want to grab, like the supply air temperature, we come down, we drill down to sensor, temperature, discharge air temperature, and then we check this box right here to make it a trendable point. Once we've gone down and configured all of our points, we click Save. It's going to regenerate this profile. Once it's done regenerating the profile, then we can go use those points to put it on a card.
Okay, so if I had 20 of these that I wanted, and it would just highlighted all 20 of them and said this.
So let's take a look here because I've got a couple of them down here. So these two 8001 VAVs right here. Okay, these are exactly the same. These two 8005s are the same, and these 8205s are the same. So if I come in here to the 8001 and I say create a profile, I discover it. I always feel like I should have like a button that has the Jeopardy theme song music, so I'd be like, doo 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 doo. Come down here, come down here. And if you notice, going through here on each one of these, I want you guys to recognize how long it's taking me to configure these, because when we go over to the new UI, you're going to see how much easier it is using the search feature than having to drill down on all of these points. I'll just do a couple more right here.
Which vertical market have you seen Commander sold or used at the most?
I've got commanders in everything from greenhouses to breweries to churches.
What do you think is the most dominant market?
What would you say, Brad? Probably it's just small. I would say, yeah. It's really what Commander is it's a cherry to be put on top. It's a great way to get an app for that, remote access to a system and some sort of display. It's not going to do floor plans for you. It could do Matterport stuff, but that's on a different, that's just a link to something.
Residential, can you do a high-rise condo and give every condo owner their own little?
Yes. So hold that thought, okay? And I will show you a customer of ours. Can I do that? Can I show Cheeseman? Okay. So I'll come here and I'm going to put active cooling and active heating set points in. And so I've got this profile for this 8001 created, right? So I'm going to save it. Now, since this 8001 VAV12 is the exact same as 11, I can come in here, I can click Add. Now I just go in and I click Nashville 8001, and I've created that profile for that device as well. So if there were 20 more of them, I'd just go and hit Nashville 8001 to each one of those that I wanted to be the same. And then what's really cool about it is, once you've got that done and you're like, oh, I put the active cooling set point in and heating set point, but maybe I need to add something to that box, you come in and you say, oh, yep, I want to add the primary duct pressure. So you come in here. And you add that, you click Save. It's now added it to all of them for you. So you change it in one, it changes it to them all. So that's pretty neat. No floor plans. You don't need floor plans. You really don't. This is how our schedule manager sits right now. No, I use this on a big 54-inch monitor when I'm at my home office. So when you get a bunch of schedules, you're gonna, with the current UI, you're gonna see a whole bunch of blue schedules up top, and then you're gonna have to scroll down to actually see the schedule calendar. Whereas on the new one, we put that into a configurations tab. So you either see the calendar or you see the configurations tab. It makes it a little easier. The alarms, same thing. The alarms configuration, you have to open it up to be able to see them currently right now. And if you've got 200 alarms in there, when you open this thing up, you have to drill down and you have to start searching for things. So the new UI's configuration tab pretty much puts it on one page so that now everything, you know, for configurations is in a logical place. And when you reload this page, it doesn't collapse your alarm configurations for you. Currently, our trends are set up where all of your trends are put across the top, all your saved trends. Yep. And then you have to scroll down once you get it to be able to see the trend. So there's that. That's basically the current Commander UI in a nutshell. So now I want to switch to a project, because you were asking about apartment complexes. Okay, yeah. This happens to be one of the...
I don't like residential, but this could be a big upsell to an existing condo.
Yep. So this is a customer that we have through one of our SIs. They've installed this in a multi-million-dollar, you know, per unit condominium complex in Denver. And what they've done is they've given each one of their users access to just their points. And you can do that a few different ways with Commander. You can come in and you can simply create a dashboard for them and just give them the points that they want, and then not give them the ability to add anything else to their dashboard. Or you can come in...
Typically, they're using water source heat pumps in San Diego high-rise, so you give them access to their set points, status, to scheduling, alarm, whatever.
Yeah, so like right, so with Commander, you have the ability to edit topology access. So these are all of the controllers that are in this building right here. But this user has only been able to access second floor 2 west. That's the only thing he has access to. And under that, it's going to give 2 west bedroom, 2 west fan, 2 west kitchen, and 2 west living room. So he can't mess with anything on the 15th floor or on the 3rd floor. When he types in APP Commander or KMCCommander.com on his phone or on his tablet or computer, he just gets his stuff.
Now, what if another vendor installs controls in a high-rise condo, and they use backnet controllers in each water source heat pump? Well, let's say whatever brand it is, some backnet, Allergen or Distech or something. Could I still put this on top, like you say, with the church on top, and do the same thing you're talking about here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, the backnet is using the point.
So the cool thing about this is as long as it's backnet, SNMP, or Modbus out of the box, you drop this on the network, it's going to pick it up.
Yeah, we're only doing backnet, so that's cool.
I'll pull up one of our live demos here. So this is one of the demos that Tim shows quite a bit. And so this would be a standard dashboard that you'd set up. You could come down, you can cruise through it, you can see all of your different stuff, all your cards. This is the deck that you can now scroll through. So if this, imagine this being on your phone and just kind of doing the swipe right, swipe left.
Well, that's why actually this is intended for cell phone, because the cards look like a cell phone.
Yep. This has always been, Commander has always been mobile first. And that was what it was designed to do. So the card, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Brad, but the card parameters were built around, the aspect ratio was built around the screen size. And as you can see here, we've got the VAV space temperature, that guy right there, that's one of our, what they call small trend card. And with that, you don't have the ability to make it bigger or make it smaller. Whereas if I create a large trend card here, this trend card, this is what they call a large trend card, and it allows me to resize it. And of course, you're not gonna, when you're vertical like this, you're not gonna see that super wide, large trend. It's gonna shorten it up, and it does look a little off at times. So when you change over, let me clear this out, let me switch over. You can, and it looks way better. Way better. So this is the current stuff. Now I'm going to switch over to the new stuff. Everybody got a firm, warm, and fuzzy on Commander? Okay.
Could AT&T use this, Brad?
I don't know why I do that, Brad.
For all the little cell phone, I mean, all the little buildings with the switch gear and stuff in it? Those cell towers? Tower things, it's just a tiny little room. Yeah.
Are they BACnet? Are they mod? Most of the cellular stuff has Modbus output. Yep. Okay, so this is the same project that we were looking at on the other system, the live demo system. And so now I'm going to switch this over to the new UI. Ooh, So, you were just, if anybody has an active project that they would like to be a beta tester for our new UI, keyword here, beta, just give me your username for your site and I'll enable your user account to be able to try this. If you don't have your own Commander site to play with and you would still like to play with the new UI, let me know and I can set you up an account on one of my projects. And there's nothing at my house that you guys are going to be able to break, so you can play with it and add cards. Yeah, so when you go to beta.kmccommander.com, you'll be able to switch between. So like this is the new, I'm going to switch back to the old. Yeah, currently right now you have to switch back to the old one to be able to switch between projects or log out. But that's hopefully going to be fixed next week once the developers get back onto the job from this summit. But you know, this is the same stuff. You've got your, this is the active weather card, so you can see that it's sunny in New Paris. This is one of the, oh, crud. Custom card. Thank you very much. Oh, are you kidding me? So you've got your custom card. Here are your trend cards, so I can go in, I can look at a week's data at a time, I can go in and look at a month's data at a time, and I can go in and look at a year's data at a time. I don't have a year's worth, so that's not going to kick it. But watch how fast it loads a month's worth of data. I mean, that's lightning fast. We go, hold on a second, I want to try this with the other one. Just because I'm curious. Oh, I can't do it with the other one because they're the small trends. So yeah, what's up, buddy?
Also show the roll-up capabilities in the new trend, where you can do the average and things like that. So you have a space trend.
Yep. You could actually do that with the old large trends. So you've got real time here. I can do a daily average. I can do a weekly average. And I can do a monthly average. So it works really good with like temperature if you want to see, you know, at a glance of what's going on. The Network Explorer for this guy is straight up awesome. I'm going to switch projects though so I don't mess up anything at home office.
So let's say we did do that, like I told you, the condo owner scenario. Would your cell phone get a little, like, let's say someone calls you and you're answering the call, you know your phone tells you to use the call.
Uh-huh.
If an alarm occurred, or your phone trigger you to something.
So it's going to send you an email. And so however you receive email, you're going to get a email. I can show you one of them actually. It does text message, it does email.
I think for eventual work, it seems like potentially something that, you know, condo HOA might be interested in.
So this is what the message says. It says, hey Pete, alarm at BACnet 5901, Fat Albert BV110 is tripped. Puddleville Titan 2, that's my project name. Message, hey, check me out. So, you know, alarm, you know, temperature out of range, whatever your alarm message is going to be. And then it tells you it's been off, it's been on, it's been an alarm for however long, it's been in that condition. And then it's going to give you the alarm priority, which is critical. So you can't acknowledge it from here, you'd have to log in, but at least you're going to know, hey, something's up. And then if it texts you, it's just going to give you that same bit of information. It's just going to be in a text message. So when we come over here and we build the network in our new platform, or our new UI,
When you sell Commander or buy, or when we buy Commander, is the price of it based upon quantity of points, or?
so you buy the gateway by itself, and then depending on the project is how many points you buy. You can either buy a 250 point license, or you can buy, I'll sell you a 1,000,000 point license if you want it. I mean, it goes up 250, 500, 1,000, and then pretty much you're at like 1,000, 2,000, 2,000. Yep. Yep, you just put your credit card in there, it'll auto renew, and everything's grand. It's actually some of our SIs are just putting it into the service contract, and they're able to, because they do use it as a service tool themselves. So, you know, just depending on how you wanted to approach that, I think that most people, once they get used to the functionality and the ability to be in Tahiti drinking a Mai Tai and be able to see that their, you know, space temperature, their air handlers are good, once they see the value in that, I think that, you know, they're going to be able to swallow the recurring fee pretty easily, because it does give you, you know, it gives you scheduling, trending, and alarming on any BACnet, SNMP, or Modbus device. So I can go to Allerton, I can go to ABB, anything that talks BACnet, I can get back up there now. And I can put it under one roof. So, I mean, you know, how many times do you go into a building and you've got like JCI on this wing and you've got Honeywell on this wing? Well, as long as everybody talks BACnet, I can pull everything up into Commander and now make it look like one system. So that's pretty neat. So here what we'll do is we'll create a new network. So just like before, we're going to give it a name. I'm going to give it my source port. router, destination address, destination BBMD, and backnet network don't necessarily need to be filled out unless you're going to go very specific onto, I want to do just this backnet network number. I want to do just this specific destination address. Again, we'll do 2 million.
Unrelated question, KMD is still UU fail basic support, right?
Brad?
KMC has that.
So I've created my network. Again, I'm going to get that same confirm discover options.
Whenever I did smoke control on high-rise,
This gives you a status bar so that you know that it's actually doing something. Before it was like, are you doing it? Are you not? It's like, yeah, you kind of cross your fingers and hope for it. And so before, with the current UI, we get all of the device details when you do a network discover. Well, on a small network, that's probably not going to be a big issue, but on a super huge network, you might want to curtail some of that. So what you can do is you can come in and you can individually grab the devices. So if I want to grab the device details of all these guys, because I know what they are. It'll go out, it'll grab the device details for just those controllers, and then once it populates them, it'll give you the option to add them at that point. So here's my network 125 router, so I'm going to save that guy. Here's my network 400 router, I'm going to save that guy. These are all my 5051 routers at my house. So then once I've saved those, go back to my networks list. I can open it up, and now here's all my routers. If I want to discover controllers after that, let's say I've added some controllers, you just simply rediscover the network. Rediscovering the network is not a big deal. Rediscovering a controller has undocumented features if you go in and manually change descriptions after the fact. So if I learn a controller in Commander, we have something that's called Data Explorer that you can actually go in and change, information in the database. And one of the things that people change is the descriptions, because a JCI system, a backnet, it'll say like, DAT XYZ. And so somebody will go in and manually remove that and type discharge air temperature. Well, now when you go to rediscover that controller, Commander looks at it and says, well, that's not what it's supposed to be, because the controller says that it's DAT XYZ. And so it's going to overwrite your change. And currently there's no way to kind of keep that in play. But the developers have realized that it's an undocumented feature that they want to squash. So I'm hoping that they're going to change it. So here I'm going to get the device details for these two guys. I'll add them, and I'm going to create a profile for these, and you'll see how I personally think that this is the best feature of the new UI, is just the profiles. So I'm going to create a new profile. I'm going to give it my H is not working. Set it up for distap, and I'm going to discover it. It's already contacted the controller. It already knows that it's got 281 points. Wait for it. Fetching some points. And here's all my points. So now before, when I wanted to select a point type, I had to click on it, and then I had to come down and I had to click sensor, and I had to find temperature. Well, now all I have to do is go up in this search and type space. Now I've got space temperature, humidity, pressure, temperature set point, and all that. I'm going to choose space temperature. I'll go here and I'm going to say outdoor air temperature. Go down here and we'll get some humidity.
What that's doing, guys, if you don't know, is applying your haystack tags for future data integration into analytics like Brainbox or that's what we're really using.
Active cooling, active heating. I'm going to go through and I'm going to click that I want all these guys trended. I've always thought that as well, because so in a 200, let's say you get a 250 point license, right? Well, you've got 200 controllers on that network that have 200 points in each one of them. That you're not going to get charged for one of those points out of the bucket until you actually make it a point of interest. So right now, this controller is only going to get dinged, I think 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So the only thing that Commander is going to be, looking at, updating, kind of being aware of is anything that you have as a point of interest. So you can see that the space set point offset, it's a point in the controller, but I haven't told Commander that I want it to be aware of it, so it's not going to take it away from your point of interest. Yep. So if you've got a whole bunch of PID, settings or something like that you use in programming, but you don't necessarily want to put on the front end, you don't check those as points of interest. And then, if you ever, yeah. Yep, and if you ever need it, you can always go back in and add it because you can re-edit your profiles at any given time. So once that's all done, I just click Save and Assign Profile. So you're going to get a really nice call from a really nice guy by the name of Tim Vogel, and he's going to be like, "Hey, Mark, how you doing? Just wanted you to know that project you got, it's looking about 100 points over. Let me help you get a new license." So there is no, if you go to 251 points on a 250 license, we're not going to cut you off. We're not going to, do anything like that. But it does raise a flag, and somebody's made aware of it, and they're going to give you a call and just let you know. So. This is actually working on AWS. So, Amazon Web Services, that's our back end. That's where everything's run. Our back end is software, but where it's residing, this isn't residing at KMC, New Paris, Indiana. No. Yep. So, and that's it. That's how easy it is to go in and make a network for BACnet in the new UI. You can go in, discover all of your devices, assigning profiles. So these are all my BACnet routers. So I'm going to create a new profile. Call it a router. I always put anything that doesn't apply as a meter. I discover it. How many points do you think I'm going to find in a BACnet 5051 router? None. No, there's no point. The router is just a router. It doesn't actually have any physical points, but the reason why I discover it is so that I can save it. Once I save it, I can assign this profile, and I can now give this profile to all of my other ones. So when I'm looking in the list of controllers in my network, I now have a profile that says router, so that I know that device is a router. That's all it is. So here's a list of all my controllers for this project, Dave. And so what I'm doing is I'm editing this schedule called normal schedule. And what I can do is I can come in here, I can open up each one of these individual controllers, and I can see that when this schedule goes on, it's going to turn MSV11 on. When the schedule goes off, it's going to turn MSV11 off on this one. I can then go in, I can change analog values like Clifford was saying with the schedule.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how you got the points into that schedule.
Well, let's create a new one. How about that? So we're going to add a schedule.
I always use program services, just go, okay, you know.
Well, so now we don't go in and look at the controller schedule. This is this isn't going into the controller and grabbing the backnet schedule.
No, I mean, I just go grab, I have a schedule in Tritium, and I just use program services, and I go and say, okay, I want all T1 occupied commands, and then I just make a link.
Oh yeah, if you add a schedule, we'll say, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say occupied schedule. I'm going to turn it on. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to choose all of the controllers. Oops, that's right.
That's what I want to know, is there a way to select, you know, as long as up on the first floor, whatever. There's one first floor schedule, second floor schedule, and schedule.
So this is what this is doing is this is going to go and it's going to look for any point that I've tagged occupied schedule in the controllers that I've given a check mark to. And then when this schedule goes on, it's going to turn that occupied point on. And then when it goes off, it'll turn it off. And you just click add. And then you just drag and drop. Give it a name. Tie it to our awesome schedule. Click add, and now it's added that schedule. We can click on it, we can change it, we can make it repeat, do all that kind of stuff. We can delete it, update it. But that's how easy it is. And then if you need to go in and edit, say, you add more VAV boxes, then you just come in and you edit the schedule configuration. And you add the controllers that you added to the network, click update, and that one schedule is now additionally controlling all those other ones.
So the schedule manager is top name, you're just scheduling, that's more of like a parameter.
That's the configuration, yep. So what that is that's gonna be this guy right here. And so if you notice here, this controls, instead of having to go in like on the old UI, how I had to go and open each individual controller up, this is basically saying, hey, you're controlling the flex stat here, 4001C PB1, 5901CE Fat Albert, 9311 4020, all of these, so that I know at a glance of what it's controlling.
And then you go to the scheduler, to the event, you add an event, whether it be something for a day or a week or whatever, then you just say, this event's active, activate for this schedule or this whatever
Yep.
configuration.
And so this is our new trends, and I like this a lot because when it comes in, add a point, I just select the points that I want. I click add. Before you had to put them in one at a time. And so now I just added 4 points. This controller, this is one of my wireless controllers. So apparently I lost wireless connection between 8:19 and 10:40. Apparently my Wi-Fi bridge wasn't working today. You click save. Give it a name. Save. And then now when I come back to the trends page, when I reload it, I can then come down and I can select which trend I want to pull up, and it'll immediately pull up that trend that I've saved. So the cool thing is you can download CSVs for it. You can do individual points, or you can download the entire CSV. So if I wanted to grab just one of these guys, pop it in, I could then take this and munge it out. This is just a standard, CSV file. So if you've got a third-party application or something, or somebody wants the information, you can give it to them. They can munge it however they want to do and get all the data out of it they want, which I think is pretty neat. The last part is alarms, or second to last part is alarms. And with alarms, you hover over it, you can select, choose one. This is going to give me the information about it. I can acknowledge it. It says you've acknowledged this alarm. Now you can add an optional message to this. So, air handler 1 had an alarm, so I just acknowledged it. Well, now I need to put a message in, replaced fuses. Add a message, and now that's documented so that you can go back and look in the history and see exactly how they resolved that alarm. Settings, like I covered in the PowerPoint presentation, everything's just a little bit more up in your face so that you can see everything. We can see our project. We can see all of the configurations on our auto-archiving alarms. We can go in and with the dashboards, on a point, you can either show the, like AI, BI, AV, or BV, or you can click hide and it will just show you the description of the point. So that it won't show you the point number, it'll just show you the description. Read time after point writes is 15 seconds. So what Commander's going to do is it's going to write down to it and it's going to wait 15 seconds to read it to make sure that the override took. I will tell you on sites that have limited internet connectivity or are like literally on the 10 cans and shoestring end of a cellular connection, that you're going to want to increase this a little bit, because if it's not communicating, you're going to have issues. Security, you can do inactivity timeouts now. You can manage password lengths. So if you want minimum of 12 character passwords or something, you can do that. You can come in and check your running jobs. Running jobs are just communication jobs with the cloud and the gateway. And then we now give you the ability to see some of the gateway metrics. So with this, I can see the service tag of the box. So if paperwork, housekeeping, internally, if you're keeping track of that kind of stuff, I don't have to go find the gateway that's sitting down in the mechanical closet. I can now look at it right here on the project. I can see the last time the box communicated with the cloud. So again, that's going to give me kind of an idea of maybe there's network issues on the site, maybe there's internet connectivity issues of the site. It'll show me data usage, which this is really huge if you're concerned about a limited data plan on a cellular connection. You're going to be able to have some metrics of how much data you're using every month. It gives you information on your license, again, when the expiration is, whether automated billing is enabled or not. It gives you the information about your system integrator. So if the customer goes to the settings page, you're going to be able to plaster up, ABC controls or whatever the name is.
For the system information, any chance you guys can add in the field for asset tag? Because while a lot of organizations have their own unique asset tags that they'll let you pick whether it be applied, and it'd be nice to be able to capture it in the portal there along with the service tag
I don't think that would be a hard lift at all. I'll talk to them about asset tags because I think that would be, you don't think that would be hard to do you?
No, I kind of think that might already be on the list to actually put some of the other integrations we're doing with security and scan.
Yeah, I've heard talk of that before. That's kind of why I'm like, I think that's going to be pretty easy. So I'll make sure that we get back in touch with you here and let you know what's up with that. The neat thing that I like about the settings tab is that it just makes it a little bit more clearer and concise than the existing UI. It gives me more information, kind of like help files of what each one is. So you don't have to, worry about, what's a max invoke ID again? It actually just read this and it tells you exactly what a max invoke ID is and why you would want to increase it or why you wouldn't. Update wait interval time. If you have a site that is, again, slower, you're going to want to increase this. It's just going to basically wait for it to scan the network. So right now I have this network scanning every 5 minutes. I could take this down to 1 and it would scan the network every 1 minute, and then I'd get a better granular view of trends and all that good jazz too. KM Digital, we have the ability to do the overrides on that. It has to go through the translator, so we do write priorities for those. We also have the ability to shorten JACE format point names. You know how JACE names can get like 680 characters long? Well, basically enabling this feature basically cuts the whole front of it off and takes like the last chunk. So it makes it a little easier to see. All your SNMP MIB files are right here. So if you get a MIB file for a new device, you're going to upload it here. And then if you want to delete them, you can delete them from there. User role in groups. This is really good. So you can go in and add users. You can edit their roles. You can edit their groups. So I can go in and I can say, well, the tech or the occupant, I want them to be able to see the dashboards. I don't want him to be able to see the card detail, just want him to be able to see what I put up in front of him. So any user that I put up as an occupant is just going to get those rights. Groups. How,
Not be an occupant, but how would you assign only that controller?
so I would do that over here. I have to go back into the old UI because that isn't put out yet. I wasn't going to demo that part in the new UI. So my developers kind of put that.
Why are you doing that? I got a question.
So, well, hold on, let me finish this. So what you can do is you can actually go into the network topology access, and if I didn't want this user to have access to all of these controllers, I simply uncheck them, and then to him, these controllers don't exist on the network. So if I delete every single one of these, it deletes them from, well, it hides them, I guess is a better word. So now I'm going to leave 9311 CE 4012 in. And let's log in as Roof Dog. Oh, I did. Now here, Dave, so I've logged in as Rufus, who's my occupant, and I go over here to networks, and the only controller he sees is 4012. So if I discover one of these guys, So what I would do is I would set up different dashboards for like different floors, and then I'd set different decks up for like the different rooms. Yeah, so like this right here, I'll show you this. It's gonna discover these, but when I go to try and add one of these, I put a profile to it, I go away from it.
I would hope that Rufus, Todd would have just popped up with his information there. And, I guess if you
So I was able to discover the network. I tried to add that controller to my network.
But if he logged into his phone, it would only pop up with that card.
Yep. This is all he sees right now.
You can actually can't you remove them from even getting to the network too?
Yep.
Yeah, but you just want Rufus to pull up his card.
Yeah, I just want to see his,
You can also do virtual devices, which is pretty neat. So I can go in and I can add a virtual device. Oh, that doesn't probably have any. Let me add a virtual device from that guy. Why is it not showing me my points in my. Okay. So I'm going to take this temperature and I'm going to put it in this virtual controller. So this is my virtual controller. Joe's office is my virtual controller. So I put one temperature and I put one set point in there. And then I'm going to give Joe just access to that controller. So that even granulates it down farther. So now he can't see the whole controller. He can just see the 2 points on the virtual controller that I gave him. As far as
That's how you would set up like a VRF integration.
Yep.
So you're getting one device.
As far as floors and stuff like that, I'm going to go back to my multi-tenant building here. Maybe not.
Here you go. Access it by your phone. Where's that thermostat anymore? Yep.
that's right, yeah, now you don't need to set them all day. Use return air and we're done. Thermostat's in your phone.
So here's the brewery that I did, and what this is he's got each one of the decks done in the different tanks that he's got. So these are his bright tanks. These are the service tanks. Then he's got his conditioning tanks that he can look at, and it's just scrolling. And mind you, most of the time that he deals with this, he's dealing with it on his app. He can go to the fermentation tanks and the other tanks. But what it also allows him to do is he can come up here to the dashboards. He can come in and pick any one of these in detail. So he can pull his bright tank detail, and I've set this dashboard up for him to have KPI gauges across the top for all the tanks. And then it's got a large trend card for him to see each one of them in detail. And you could easily do this as floor 1, floor 2, and floor 1 could have room 101, room 102, room 103 as dashboards. Do you know what project the Matterport is on that Tim shows all the time? It's not on the one
Live demo A.
I looked there and I didn't.
The dashboard, not the first dashboard. Click on that and then go down to
Yeah. He never gave me access to that dashboard. It's not on my demo view. Any other questions? I think we're a little past time, but